When I finish the book I'm working on now, I'm going to write a book about um, my mother's death and about taking care of her as she was dying. And I have the beginning of that. It came to me, and I want to read that, and then I want to talk about sort of the general subject. And the book will begin, if I were to start it right now. In the hours after my mother lost consciousness for the final time, as part of her glide toward death from cancer, I thought of a dozen questions I wished I'd asked her, a dozen things I wished I'd said. I did ask them, and I did say them to her drugged and deeply breathing self, but it's not the same. I knew even in that moment I should have lived those questions and statements in the days, years, and decades before her death, when they could have become part of our conversations and our lives. But I didn't, and I learned that night, as I've learned so many times in so many circumstances in my life, that regret is the harshest, most effective, and cruelest teacher there is. And I'm just thinking, I'm bringing this up because I was talking with a couple of friends of mine today, and they were telling me about uh, decisions they'd made that they had regretted. And one was a small cosmetic uh, decision, and the other one was a marriage decision. And I was thinking about regret, and I was thinking about I was pretty fortunate in that when I was younger, I didn't really make any major decisions that would affect me for my life. And my mom was married at, I believe, 16, had a child by 17, and 3 kids by 20 with someone who was abusive. And that that decision made at 16 harmed much of the rest of her life in one way or another. And when I was 16, the biggest decisions I was making were whether I should go play basketball tonight or Dungeons and Dragons. And I I know I know a couple women. The earliest age, or the average age at which girls are put into prostitution, I read is 13. I don't. I've known some women who have suffered consequences because of being put in that position when they were, especially when they were so young. And I've known people who were in good marriages that started in their high school years. I've known people who were. I knew this woman whose parents were high school sweethearts and got married, and then in their 80s, uh, the man died, and I said to my friend, "How is your mom doing? She must be just devastated." And she said, "No, she's absolutely delighted. He was a terror." And a decision she made in high school went through her entire life. And I don't have a major point to make here. Just, oh, yeah, I was thinking just last night, I was thinking about a friend I had in high school who was 2 years older than I. And in 1979, I believe, uh, he got drunk and went driving and died in a DUI. And that's 42 years ago. And uh, there's that, the decision he made that night snuffed everything. And I mean, I guess this is starting to sound like a public service advertisement. Make good decisions, kids. But I'm not meaning for it to go that direction at all. I just sometimes wonder and am in awe at the ramifications of decisions we make. It's possible to I mean, there have been so many times in my life where I'll make some decision and then realize a minute, a day, an hour, a week, a month, a year later, that it was a terrible decision. And I'll want to go back and this time do it right. And you can't. And I guess that's what this is about, is just just yesterday, and this is a silly story, but just 2 days ago, I had an itch in my back and I leaned against the corner, corner wall and scratched my back like a bear. And whenever I do that, it reminds me of my grandfather who died when I was 4, because my mom always said that whenever I would do that, she would say that reminds me of my father because he used to do that. And there's a story that he was dying of cancer, and um, and then he was he's in the hospital on intravenous drugs, morphine, and they said that they brought him out of that enough for him to say goodbye to me, I think, but I don't remember it at all. And I was just thinking 2 days ago that if this were 4 years ago, I could ask my mom to tell me that story again. And I can't ask her to tell me that story again because she's not here. And so I'm just thinking about how time and movement and our lives, it's a one-way street. And yeah, we can recover from decisions we made, but those decisions will continue to ramify.